Hello, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to Shonen and Chill Plus. It's been a minute. We have not done one of these in a while. Funny story behind that. Shonen and Chill Plus was originally like the conception of it was basically to be a show where we talk about Doctor Stone because Doctor Stone was just that good, and it felt bad leaving it out of the weekly lineup. Doctor Stone is now in the weekly lineup, so we don't really need this show for that purpose anymore. So I was just kind of rambling about like a million series, and I didn't really love it. It just didn't feel good. It felt like I was rushing, and I wasn't really talking that much, and it just I don't know. Like it felt like I was talking a lot and not really saying anything. If that makes sense. I wasn't very happy with the product, basically. So I decided we're gonna cut Shonen and Chill up into a little bit of a smaller dose, I guess. Um, we're going to be focusing on 5 series on Shonen and Chill Plus from now on. That being Mission, Yozakura Family, Blue Box, Sakamoto Days, Spy Family, and Kaiju number 8. Um, Kaiju number 8 and Spy Family are not every single week, so sometimes we'll only be talking about the top row. But for now, we have some chapters of both of them to talk about. So you get all 5. It's exciting, right? If you like some of the other series that got kind of cut out by this, I'm sorry. I don't vibe hard enough with them to. I mean, I like some of them a decent amount, but not enough to want to talk about them every single week. These are the ones that I can talk about, right? Like there's stuff to say and I can talk about them and it's great. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump in and we're gonna talk about Mission Yozakura Family first. We're just gonna go in order across the top and then we'll go back to the left and go across the bottom. So the most recent chapter of Mission Yozakura Family is chapter 83, which is the siblings all coming in and fighting together. Very, very hype chapter for this series. Yozakura Family has kind of been going through it lately. It started off basically with everybody saying it wasn't that good and no one really liked it. And now it's finally starting to get a little respect. Like Shonen Jump wasn't even tweeting about it. Like no one was talking about it. It's getting a little bit of respect now. And this is a really good chapter. So Yozakura Family has awesome art. Like every character is really good looking, and the combat. I think the combat flow is still a little not great. I think this chapter suffers from it a little bit too. It's probably the weakest aspect of Yozakura Family, in my opinion, is just the pacing and flow of combat. But the shit they do is really cool. Oh, I said shit really, really. I said shit within the first 3 minutes, like 3 times. It's fine. So the stuff they do is really cool, and the family themselves are all really interesting and fun characters. Um, it lends itself to kind of this dynamic that Yozakura family has that I think is sort of similar to Mashal, though maybe less humor based. Yozakura family started off very silly and like kind of jokey, almost slice of life. With like also he does spy things, and now it has like an actual narrative, and so it's a lot more cohesive. Um, it's benefited a lot from that, in my opinion. I think a lot of its silly stuff was just not that good and or not that funny, unfortunately. Um, but the series itself, like the combat and stuff, is pretty cool. It gives me this vibe of like I don't even know how to fully describe it. Almost like if you've ever seen Black Cat or like Buso Renkin, I get strong vibes from of a series like that from this, where it's like yeah, it's a battle shonen through and through at this point. There's really not that much silliness left in it, but it's a pretty lighthearted battle shonen that kind of only turns it on when it feels like it has to. Um, Taiyo and Mitsumi's relationship, as always, is very adorable, and it's very adorable in this one. And I really like basically anytime Taiyo gets to work with the family, right? So the coolest thing about this chapter is that it's the first time that all of the siblings have fought together and they're fighting, the big evil Doctor Man. But Taiyo is ultimately the one that gets to do the final hit because he's kind of just built himself up over time to be that way. Also, the like begrudging kind of camaraderie between Kyoichiro and Taiyo is so good. Something about Yozakura family, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just Taiyo is just wholesome enough of a good boy that I want him to succeed. but they're just cute, man. Everyone's cute. Even the weirdos are cute, but it's like shockingly wholesome at the same time. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain the vibe that I get from it. It's not particularly like badass, right? Like they don't the combat is kind of unique in the sense that there are some characters who do cool stuff like Kyoichiro is pretty BA. Um, but a lot of the characters are just like sweet. And even when they're fighting, they're like cute and fun and they're just having a good time almost. Even in dire serious moments, they're just having a good time. Yes, I don't know. It's something I really like about it. It's hard to. There's not a ton to dissect in this chapter other than the recovery of the Yozakura's mother's body. Ray, I think her name is. Ray's body. Apparently, they don't decompose, so they have like these red threads of somamine that sort of show where they are, or that you can watch as like a link to where the body is. And Taiyo finds them. He tries to cut them, can't cut them. Has a pretty generic "I'm gonna break my limits" moment, and then does. But I don't know. It's something about like a series that can do tropes in a like I guess in an interesting way is not the case because it's still extremely tropey, but they can do tropes in a way that doesn't feel annoying or in your face. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. It's harder for me to convey my point so that a second person here because I need him to run interference on my dumbass thoughts so that they make more sense. But like when this series does very blatant tropes, it's kind of like sweet and cute and wholesome. And when something like I don't know, Black Clover is the first thing that comes to mind, not to start that hate train up, but when it does tropes, I'm like, oh god, oh you're gonna break your limits for the 748th time, just like every other anime character ever. But in this one, when he has his go beyond my limits as many times as I need to moment, I'm like, oh, he's doing it for his lady. That's cute. That, that's a terrible explanation, but it's all I've got. So I don't know. That's all I've got. It's hard. Like I said, it's hard to talk about this one because not a lot plot wise happens, other than the recovering of the mother's body. So next one's going to be the very plot heavy chapter where I assume we're going to talk a lot about the recovery of the mom's body and where we're going to go from here now that we've sort of moved on to defeating the doctor. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, we're going to slide over to the right. We're going to talk about Blue Box. I really like Blue Box too. I think I probably would have not liked it prior to me starting to like sports manga because of the Kuroko. Um, I don't know how it balances it this well. I was kind of expecting it to get too bogged down in one or the other, right? Like, it's a romance series that also portrays itself as a sports series. And at first I was like, okay, well, they're not going to be able to focus on stuff like the Nationals if they're spending too much time focusing on the romance. And they're not going to be able to spend too much time focusing on the romance if they're constantly worrying about, tournaments and nationals and games and stuff. So far, I mean, it's only like 6 chapters in. Sorry, 6. Um, but it's really done a good job of balancing it. They have that moment, or like where basically the really good badminton player is hitting on. He calls her Chi, which is kind of cute, but and it makes our main guy upset. He actually has a really good joke panel where he's so upset about it that he claims he doesn't care, but he's visibly melting, and the characters are reacting to the fact that he's literally melting. But he kind of overhears that he may have a crush on her, and it kind of upsets him. And they have this match where it's like the champion badminton player versus our little underdog boy, and he's losing pretty bad, right? His opponent might have a crush on Chinatsu. He's a little upset about that, and someone kind of makes a note that like the champion guy is beating the shit out of him so badly that it kind of like it's reinforcing that he should give up both on her and on going to nationals because the difference in their ability is so big. And then the guy looks over and sees that she's watching him. She's watching our little underdog baby boy, and it's fucking cute. And then, they look over and he loses and well, he didn't lose, but he's losing. And they're talking about it, and you're expecting him to kind of have like a little wishy-washy moment. And he doesn't. He immediately bounces back with like, "Oh, I was really close to getting it. I need to hurry up and do better." So he, it looks like that he's going to be overcome and sad that he's losing really bad and feel down on himself, and he doesn't. He instead he gets this resolve that he's going to do even better. And then right at the end, again tying into the thing earlier where they say that the display of strength difference is so great that he's basically telling our little underdog Sweetie Pie to give up on everything. And then right at the end, his reflexes give him just like exactly the hit that he needs to get a hit in on the big guy, and everybody sees it. His childhood friend sees it, his crush sees it, we see it in this awesome like double spread where it's like great art, and Blue Box always has good art, but he really turns it on when he does like these backgroundless double spreads, like Bleach style, except it's about a little sweet boy playing badminton instead of Bleach stuff. But I don't know. That was one of those moments. I don't want to say that it reminded me of Kuroko because that has like Persona 5 guy vibes, where it's like, oh, I've read Kuroko's basketball and that's the only sports manga I've ever read. Doesn't this give you Kuroko vibes? I don't mean it like that, but it's just like an inspiring little moment where everything is down and you kind of expect it to go the way of like, oh, he's getting trashed and he's going to feel bad about it and he's going to want to give up. And then he doesn't give up, and even though he's getting absolutely stomped, he still does his best and he manages to get a great point in. And damn, I don't know, it was cute. I keep saying that everything's cute on this show, but it is really cute. It's because this shows I read all the cute stuff. I haven't even talked about Spy Family yet. You know how many times I'm going to say that shit is cute? So many. Um, but it was just well done. I don't think that this series has really hit the point where it's struggling to maintain one of its aspects, and I think that it could get there pretty easily, right? Because if you don't spend enough time focusing on the romance, then it kind of doesn't matter anymore that it's there. And if you don't spend enough time focusing on the sports, then it sort of just becomes a convenient backdrop for them to do romancy stuff. But they've done a good job. He kind of talks about how she's inspiring him to go higher and do better, but he's also playing for his own sake because he likes the game and he wants to be good at it, and it's good. It's a really good balance of both, of a realistic like yes, this person's constant like tireless desire to achieve what she wants to do pushes me to go higher too, but I'm not only doing this for her. Like this isn't I'm not doing the thing I love just to impress her. I'm doing the thing I love because I want to be good at it. And that's just how it is. It's cute. It's sweet. I'm going to say cute and sweet so many times. I'm going to find a way to say it in Sakamoto Days, even though Sakamoto Days is not at all a cute and sweet bubbly manga. So, Sakamoto Days, we're going to just go moving over to that. We're down in the lab. So, we're in the lab where Shin got his brain powers. We're trying to get away. They kidnapped Lou. As you know, they thought that she was Shin. They've got her in jail. She busts out with the doctor. They're on their way escaping while Sakamoto and Shin are trying to get down there and get them there, like save her. And we find out that these assassins took over this lab, right? The assassins took over the lab and they're making them do science for evil instead of science for whatever they were doing science for before, which still didn't seem that good, but not explicitly evil. And they fight this dude with like a deer head shows up, and they're like, he's the bad guy who did it. He's got a deer face. Sakamoto Days has insane villain designs. Like, what? This dude has a fucking deer head. Just inexplicably, he's got a deer head. But they fight this guy like a crazy scientist guy. I guess he's not really a scientist. He like is a he looks like a one of the super nerd trainers from Pokemon. But this is a cool fight. So Sakamoto Days, as we discussed, has really good action paneling. Really good action paneling. Um, there's a good gag in this one too, where Shen gives up his position to save the doctors because the evil guy is trying to hurt them, and he can't beat them on his own. But Sakamoto is stuck in the locker that they were hiding in because he's too big. Um, and the fight starts. Shen gets overwhelmed pretty quickly, and it turns out that the bad guy has basically the ability to switch stuff around. So like he hits Shin, and Shin tries to talk, and it makes all of his speech backwards. So everything he tries to say is reversed. So like it's his brain is scrambled. And he goes in to try to fight, and Sakamoto finally busts out and starts hitting him. And Sakamoto also, when he busts out, he's got a square head instead of his normal round head because it was perfectly wedged in the square locker. Good gags, good humor. Um, and they have this good moment where Sakamoto is like, I don't really know your past here or where, what happened to you here or what it means, but do you want to save this place? And he says yes, and so Sakamoto says, okay, I'm gonna save it for you then. Then the bad guy actually kind of gets him too, and he reveals that the trick that he switched with Sakamoto is his attack targets. So if he goes to attack the enemy, he'll end up attacking Shin, who is just his teammate, instead. And so, the guy's gloating about, like, aha, science is great. And then the very next panel is just this great, sketchy, like, motion panel of Sakamoto just punching the ever loving shit out of him and revealing that he immediately figured out all he's got to do is try to attack Shin instead. And if he tries to attack Shin, he'll attack the enemy because it's just his intention that's reversed from the outcome. Next week, I expect will be the resolution of this fight. I'm excited for it. Again, Sakamoto Days action paneling is some of the best. It's maybe my favorite series to read fights in. The actual plot is basically just fat assassin boy doesn't want anyone to ruin his happy life with his family now, so he's doing silly things. But I don't know, the way it presents its action is so on point. It's so well done. I don't know anything about this author. I feel like I mentioned him on the show once before, and someone said that actually this is his first thing, other than like the one-shot pilot for Sakamoto. He's never done anything else, which is nuts because he has like action movie paneling. Oh, excuse me, I'm recording this late. So he has like this awesome action movie paneling, and everything that Sakamoto does and the way that they fight is really dynamic and fun. And combat's never really boring, right? Like there's only so many times you can watch characters just throw hands at each other and then be like, okay. But they always have these neat little intricacies in their battles, like this guy with his crazy science weapons, and then a couple chapters ago when Lou was kidnapped and they have the highway battle. It's just exciting stuff. Or even like the paintball sniper. It's all just creative and fun set pieces to really like have a good time showing a fun action series. Plot wise, again, there's not really all that much there. We got some cool stuff on Shin this arc with the origin of his powers and his relationship to the people in this lab. Because initially, it made it look like they're bad people. They're coming to get him. He escaped from the lab. But actually, it's just that like they got attacked. They got invaded, and they're gonna save him. But yeah, Sakamoto is such a love letter to just like exciting action pieces. All the fights against these assassins, I bet, are gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see all of the different set pieces and all of the different like choreo. Ah, man, I love that kind of stuff. I don't know if you know that about me because I don't talk about it very much on Shonen Chill, other than like making fun of bad ones sometimes. But like fight choreography or like a fight layout in a manga is super interesting to me. So that's why I love stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen, where you have these really intricate techniques and things like Yuji and Toto fighting together using Boogie Woogie, or even just Yuji's martial arts in general, or Nanami's 7-3 and stuff like that. It's all really cool to watch, and they make great use of their environment and they play all this stuff out, and it's really cool. I don't really have anything else to say about it, but it's just that's some of my favorite stuff when I see manga in or like combat in manga is just the way that it's shown to you visually. Whereas I think something even like Yozakura family, I kind of pick on them for their combat because I think it's kind of eh. And I think I could put My Hero Academia in that category as well, where I think the combat isn't as creative as it could be. I think the Lady Nagant fight that's going on with Deku right now is a good example of like what I do like, where it's very dynamic. There's a lot of motion and like tricks and strategies going on. I think for a while, other than some fights here and there, like Stain was at least a good fight in terms of choreography. But like a lot of My Hero fights are just kind of like punch. I gotta get him with my big old punch because they'll die if I hit them with too many of these because I have super strength. But for me, it's all about the show. It's all about the choreography and the excitement. Like Undead Unluck has awesome fight choreography too. But anyway, I don't want to roll into a tangent on fight choreography in manga. We'll talk about that maybe on the regular show or something at some point. So, Spy Family. This is the first time that an arc in Spy Family has actually had me like tense, and I don't know why because it's not the kind of series where there's going to be tense stuff going on. But Yor is out at this dinner, doing this thing with them, trying to protect his family, specifically the wife and the baby. And Anya and Lloyd are also on the ship. It's revealed that everyone knows where the target is, the one that Yor is protecting. Um, there's a knock on the door at the end of the chapter, and it's like played up to be like they're about to attack. I don't know if they are or not. It could just be a gag, but it gets the feeling that that's what's going to happen. But what I'm tense about isn't necessarily the fate of this woman, because I do think that Yor will probably protect her. And it's obviously not for the fate of Yor, because Yor, one, she's one of the lead characters. She's probably not going to die, because there wouldn't be much of a series when the whole series is about them. But two, she's ridiculously powerful. No one's just going to come in and beat the shit out of her, right? But what I'm worried about is this going to be where Lloyd kind of figures something out, right? They've kind of played a lot of it off. He seems to just not care that she's like pretty tough, because every time they have like those moments where Lloyd notices her doing something crazy, um, he just kind of brushes it off. Like when she's drunk and they're fighting in that play castle thing for Anya, and he kind of realizes that actually she's overwhelming him even when she's drunk. He just kind of brushes it off and he never really talks about it again. And we've established that Yor is just like kind of ditzy, and so she sees Lloyd do these things, and it just doesn't. She's so superhuman that it doesn't cross her mind, and he just tells her some blatant lie, and she's like, okay, and so Yor is not going to be the one that figures it out first, right? But Lloyd could figure it out. Like the dude's smart. He's super smart. He's a fucking super spy. So if he figures it out, and he already knows that between that and her, he knows about her brother too. Is it going to cause conflict? Is he going to like it? There going to be something about? I don't know. It just worries me because the Spy Family, for me, all of the tension of it is just like that little family unit, and they're really adorable, and I would like them to gain feelings for one another to satisfy my brain. But I am worried that this is going to be where Yor gets found out, and there's some sort of fallout from that. What it's going to be, I don't know. We know that at some point, obviously, Lloyd and Anya, or at least Lloyd, but I would assume Anya too, because Anya's been a central piece of all of the action so far, that Lloyd and Anya are going to get involved in the fighting. Lloyd probably will, for the sake of protecting people / protecting Yor and Anya, and Yor's doing her job, and she's a bit of a mama bear too, but I don't know. I don't want there to be. I never ever want there to be conflict between that family, basically, in this ever. Anytime that they argue about anything, I'm like, no, no, you make up right now. No, you just happy. You be happy together right now. I don't want any of this negativity. I get very invested in their peace. Push your beds together and cuddle. Stop it. Be normal. I don't know. I don't want there to be anything sad. I don't ever want there to be sadness. This is like my happy place manga. And if there's sad in it, I have to be sad, and that will make me upset. That I don't want to be upset. That's my whole thing. Is I get joy from this, and I don't want to be sadsies. All right. I'm going to move on to my chapter of the week. I wasn't really going to do a chapter of the week portion for this, but I think this Kaiju number 8 chapter slaps so hard that it's going to have to be my chapter of the week. There probably won't be a chapter of the week every time, but it opens post-arrest of Kafka. Now, if you remember a long time ago, the last episode of this we did was when Kafka revealed himself as Kaiju number 8 in order to save everyone. And I had said, I hope that they don't lose faith in him and they don't treat it as like a you are under arrest kind of situation. And I was really disappointed when immediately that's what happened, right? The very beginning of the next chapter, it's you are under arrest for being a kaiju. And it sucked, and I was like, no, don't do this. This is stupid. But totally blew my expectations out of the water shortly after that when they have that heart-to-heart moment, and they're like, look, yeah, you are a kaiju, but we also know that you're one of us, and you saved us, and you're a part of our team. And we are going to help you try to convince these people that you're okay and that you can stay with us. The chapter begins with our boys, like our team of boys, just kind of down, and they reveal that the training facility is too busted up from the kaiju attack, and they have to relocate everyone. So I don't know if they're going to split people up or if they're all going to go together or not. I hope they don't split people up, but they might. But the real meat of this is when Shinomiya goes to talk to her father, and the father is a stereotypical anime hard ass, doesn't give a fuck about nothing. She's like, don't be mean to him. He saved my life, and he's like, fuck you. You suck. You're bad. And it shows that he has they took X-rays of him, and it shows that he has a kaiju core, not a heart. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter, right? And she kind of expresses that. She gets this sad face, like, oh my god, no, he's really a kaiju. And they keep faking me out with it because I keep seeing it, and I'm like, no, don't be shitty about this. Just be on his side. And then I turned the page and was pleasantly surprised when she said, even if all that's true, I still want to believe in him. And I was like, this is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I want. This is everything I wanted. And so we get to him in this chair, this thing that he's strapped in, and they're like, he's going to prove that he's a human, and he's going to stay with them. The army shows up, and Daddy Shinomiya shows up, and they ask him they say, like, release him from the chair thing that he's in. He could easily break out if he wants to, because he's Kaiju number 8. The only reason he's even sitting there is because he wants to be there. And he pulls a gun on him right away, right? And he immediately shoots him. And Kafka blocks the bullets. And then Shinomiya says that any life form that can stop bullets with their bare skin is obviously not a human. But it's super fucked up, right? That's almost like the witch tests from, like, old medieval shit, where it's like, if you take a woman and you throw her in a lake and she drowns, like she sinks and drowns, she's not a witch. But if you throw her in the lake and she floats and she doesn't drown, then she's a witch and you have to kill her. Well, she's dead no matter what, right? So this test is bullshit because he's like, oh, you can block bullets with your skin, so you have to be a kaiju. But what if he didn't block them? What if you just shot him? Then he was just a guy that fucking died because you shot him 4 times in the chest. It's just, I don't know. It makes the humans look super shitty. And I'm assuming that's by design, right? Because it's essentially an unwinnable test. Either get shot and die, or protect yourself, and by protecting yourself, you give me license to try to kill you because I've determined that the actions you took to protect yourself are what deemed that you're a kaiju. So I like the fact that they're making. I don't really love that the daddy guy is like I'm a anime hard ass douchebag character. Like, whatever, it's fine. It's tropey, but it is what it is. But I really like the way that this whole thing is basically a witch trial, right? Like nobody wants to hear him out. Everything he did to help them, right? He's never done anything that wasn't to help them. So they just want to kill him because of the kaiju part of him. Oh, this is off topic, but I also think the dad's design is hilarious. He's got lightning bolts in his beard, and his eyebrows are fire. It's so dumb looking, so stupid. But I just love the framing of he's a kaiju, but he's obviously heroic. He's you know extremely selfless. He goes and fights to protect everyone. He's the only reason that the training facility didn't get destroyed and everyone died was because he saved everyone. But not only did he still get arrested because he's a kaiju, but he's basically put in this test where it's impossible for him to win, right? Because he's got this guy. The guy tries to shoot. We already talked about the shooting, but the guy tries to shoot him. He chooses to block the bullets because if he doesn't, the bullets will kill him. And then the immediate response is, "Oh, okay, that means you're a kaiju, so now we have to kill you." But even then, he's stuck fighting this guy, and it's a lose-lose situation. Because either one, this guy's a complete and total badass and just beats the shit out of him, which is fully possible. Because, they're really playing him up to be like hot shit. Like, this is the dude. Or he wins. Like, maybe Kafka wins. But if Kafka beats this guy after they've played him up to be like the man, well, then the immediate response is going to be, wow, look how strong he is. He's obviously a kaiju. Everybody, we have to go kill him before he gets too strong. So he's in just this constant series of situations where there's really no way out other than convincing these people that he's genuinely on their side. And they don't really seem to care that if he's on their side or not, because just simply the fact that he's a kaiju makes them want to kill him. And we got that little bit. I think it might have been last week's, but there's one where they're talking about how like kaiju events are becoming more prominent, and it's becoming a problem, and they're getting overwhelmed. Oh yeah, it is this chapter where Mina says that it's not just that there's going to be more, but there could also start coming at multiple times and together, and it could really have an impact. Like we need a weapon. We need you all to be stronger. And I can't help but think of how, like, obviously shooting themselves in the foot that it is, that they'd be willing to kill Kafka based on what is effectively racism, kaiju racism, fucking racists. Um, when he could easily be that weapon, right? Like he's strong. The dude is strong. Kaiju number 8, he kicks ass. And obviously, like the human army is not hurting, and they've got soldiers like Mina who's crazy strong, but like still, if they're gonna be fighting multiple kaiju like the last one at the same time, without someone like Kaiju number 8 on their team, purely because racism, I don't know, man. Racism bottom one, I guess is what I'm saying. I guess the whole point of this Kaiju number 8 chapter is that racism bottom one really is bottom one. Uh, but that was Shonen and Chill Plus. It was still a little fast, but I feel like I got to talk. It felt a little fast, but a lot of the chapters didn't have a whole lot going on in them. The big W's for this week were Spy Family is always an absolute W, and then so is Kaiju number 8. And then Blue Box was really great this week. I think Yozakura next week we'll step it up a little bit. And Sakamoto, it's just action pieces, but God, I really love the action pieces. All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out Shonen and Chill Plus now that it is returned in its new format. Let me know what you think of the format in the comments. If you don't give a shit about it anymore because it's only talking about these series, then that's fine. Or if you like it more because you think that I have, a little bit more time to talk about these things. Like, God, that first episode, I think I ran through 11 series in 40 minutes. It was awful. It was just awful. So if you like having this little bit of a more laid back approach to it where I can just spend 7 to 10 minutes talking about a series, I guess more like 5 to 7 minutes, just talking about one of these series and kind of talking about what the series in general does that I like more than just the contents of each individual chapter. Let me know. Or if you want it to go back to the old way, maybe I can try another thing. I'm not set on this format, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't love the Shonen and Chill Plus product as it is right now. It's something I still want to do. But I just haven't found the magic formula, I guess, that perfects it for me. You know what I mean? So thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And I will see you on Sunday for the next episode of Shonen and Chill. Good night.